Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, My Montana Kitchen. My name is Sarah Hardy and I'm the blogger at mymontanakitchen.com. Today we are going to be talking all about sourdough. And sourdough videos, sourdough shorts are some of the most popular on my channel. And I believe that's because people have so many questions about sourdough and there are so many different ideas about how to sourdough. But one thing I just want to get out of the way at the very beginning is that there are probably 1,000 ways to make your bread, to bake it, all of those things. But that's one of the things I love about sourdough. There are so many ways to get to the end result. No one way is necessarily perfect. And here's where good enough comes in for me. Could I go through all those extra steps, jump through all those extra hoops and make my bread even better and more perfect? Yes, probably. But is it worth all of that to me? No, probably not. So that's where I call it good enough. I can make delicious bread that I love to give away to people. I can make delicious bread that my family loves, bread that is real bread just made with a handful of ingredients, and I am super happy with it. So I'm just going to show you something that I've just learned myself. I'm always learning also. And I have been making bread now for 2 years with sourdough. Earlier in March was the 2-year birthday of my Alfred Humphrey, is the name of my starter. And I've been baking bread successfully ever since then. But I have kind of tweaked and evolved through this whole thing. I've watched lots of YouTube videos, I've read in lots of forums, I've researched, and I've just kind of come up with my own way of doing it. Now, I'm not going to deep dive into all of that today. If that's something that you're interested in, you can let me know in the comments, and that might be a future video. But today, I just want to show you something that I've learned about preheating your Dutch oven or preheating your oven. I have always preheated my oven and Dutch oven at 450 degrees. So I would bring the oven to 450 degrees, have my Dutch oven in there, preheat it for an hour at 450, and then put my bread in to bake. And I've seen people talking about baking from a cold oven, and that was kind of intriguing to me. And my mom actually sent me a video about somebody doing that, and my sister tried it the next day. So I'm like, well, okay, I have dough in the refrigerator that needs to be baked, so let's give it a try and see. And so I did yesterday. I did a cold oven bake. So I did not preheat anything, but I just put my bread right in my Dutch oven, cold. The oven was cold, put it in the oven, and I turned the oven to 450 and I baked it for 55 minutes with the lid on, and then I took the lid off and baked it for about 15 more minutes. And it turned out great. And I'm going to show you here in a few minutes exactly what happened here. Now, some of this has already been cut out of the middle, but it turned out great. And I was so surprised. In fact, in the video I'm going to show you here in just a second, that was literal shock in my voice. Like, I literally was that surprised that it turned out so well. So I'm going to share my Instagram stories from yesterday with you here, and I'll walk you through that whole process of, I'm like, I don't know, is this even going to work? Is it something that can do? And then we'll come back and I'm going to walk you through. I'm going to do the same thing today, and I'm just going to show you exactly how I do it. So go ahead, watch those, and then let me know in the comments what you do. Do you preheat your oven? Do you preheat your Dutch oven? Some people preheat the oven, but not the Dutch oven, or vice versa. I don't know, whatever. So let me know what you do. So today is my sourdough baking day. I usually mix all my bread on one day and do all my baking on one day. And so today I'm baking, and I've already made, you can see all my mess here, but I already baked 2 sandwich loaves, and I have 2 artisan loaves to bake also. So I'm trying something different that I've never done before, and it has me a little bit scared. So I'm wondering if you guys have done this or not. I always preheat my Dutch oven at 450 for like an hour before I put my bread in. This time I'm doing a cold start. I just put my bread in my cold Dutch oven, and I just put it in the oven and turn the oven on after I put it in. So I'm gonna try it for 55 minutes at 450 and then take the lid off and then see how much longer it needs to brown on top. So let me know, do you cold bake or not? So I'm actually going to put a poll here because I'm really curious, those of you who bake sourdough, if you use the cold oven method or the preheat method or cold Dutch oven method. I don't know. Talk to me. Let me know what you do. I'm interested. Anything that I can do to make sourdough more simple, I'm all for it. One of my favorite things is teaching people just how easy sourdough can be. It doesn't have to be a huge drawn out process. It really can be simple. So let me know here in this poll which you do. And in other news, all right, this is the reveal after doing a cold bake. I've had it in for 55 minutes at 450. Oh my goodness, look at that. Okay, that did really well. So I'm gonna do it a little while longer to get it nice and brown, and I'll let you see the finished result. All right, crazy, right? I was really so shocked, but I was so pleased because if I can save an hour's worth of gas preheating my oven and my Dutch oven, then I'm all for it. Anything that can make sourdough simpler is great in my book. Now I already have a full video on my 0 discard starter method, and you can I will link that here and you can check that out. Be sure you check that out too, because that is a big stress reliever when it comes to sourdough. I believe sourdough should not be stressful, and there is so much overwhelming information on the internet about sourdough that you have to do so many stretch and folds at certain periods of time, and you have to discard this amount, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and a lot of it, again, it goes back to making it perfect or good enough. A lot of it I do not do, but I was so overwhelmed at the beginning that I thought I had to do all these things, and it was overwhelming. It gave me paralysis. I didn't even want to start because I didn't know where to start. So if that's you, go watch my other sourdough videos and learn that it really doesn't have to be that difficult. So I'm going to show you today just how you can bake from a cold oven, and I'll show you exactly how the bread turns out. So this particular loaf has been in the Banneton for over 24 hours. So it might be a little overproofed, but I'm okay with that. It's all right. So I'm just going to take it out of the bag, and you can see how it's risen pretty nicely. All right, so I'm going to turn it out onto parchment paper. All right, there we go. I need to grab some flour real quick. I like using these tea strainers for sifting the flour. I just leave it in my flour container, and I use that all the time when I'm working with bread and dough. All right, I'm just going to do a simple score, and then we will get it put in the oven. Okay, so it's in the oven. It was cold when I put it in. I'm gonna let it bake for 55 minutes and then we'll see what it looks like after that. And we'll bake it just a little bit longer to get it nice and brown on top. One thing I noticed yesterday whenever I was baking this from cold is that it seemed like the crust on the bottom was even darker than normal. So I was talking with someone, and I will tag her channel here, Delicious by Debbie, and she mentioned that she takes her bread out and puts it on like a wire rack in the Dutch oven and then puts it back in. So I'm gonna try that and we'll see if that makes a difference. Wow. Can you see how huge that is? That is working very well. All right, so let me just lift it out. And I have my wire rack from my Instant Pot. And I'll just put that in there. And then just set the bread back on top of that. And put the lid back on and we'll put it back in. It has about 20 more minutes to bake with the lid on. Okay, it has been about 14 minutes or so since I took the lid off. So let's pull it out and see what it looks like. Okay, not bad. It was a little overproofed, I think, because I left it in for so long in the refrigerator. I can see that, but not too bad. Let's see. Ooh, that pot holder is hot. And I guess I can show you. This is probably a bad idea. Oh, look how the bottom of it is just a golden brown, not near as dark as the one I did yesterday. So that really works using that. So this one is flatter than the one I did yesterday. But again, I think that is probably because it was overproofed too long in the refrigerator. But still, this is gonna taste delicious, be delicious, and I didn't have to spend an hour preheating my oven. So I think to me, that's still a win. Okay, and here's the finished result. So you can see this one did not rise quite as much as the one I did yesterday. And I'll put a picture of that here so you can see comparison wise. I think it's overproofed, and I wonder if taking it out before it had fully set in the oven made it fall a little bit whenever I put the rack in. I'm not sure on that. I'll have to test that theory out a little more, but I'm still happy with it. And like I said, it will still taste delicious. So there you have it. You can preheat your oven. You don't have to preheat your oven. Like I said, there are so many ways to sourdough. And that's one of the things I love the most about working with sourdough is it's so versatile. And people get so worried that they're gonna mess it up or they're gonna kill their starter. But honestly, your starter is very hardy. Much more hardy than we give it credit for most of the time. In fact, hold on just a second, I'll be right back. I have this that's been in my fridge, I think for close to a year. And you see all this hooch on top. I'm going to be doing a video coming soon on how I can still use this starter and show you just how easy it is. Even though it looks like this, that this is still good and we can still wake it up and use it. So stay tuned for that. I'd love to hear your favorite sourdough tips in the comments. And especially let me know if you've ever tried baking from a cold oven, or do you always preheat? What's your method? I would love to hear from you. See you next time.